Hello, I'm Clint Walker, and this is Real Estate Appraiser Secrets. And today we are going to talk again about bedrooms. Call it Bedrooms Part 2. So in my last video, I encouraged you to not worry so much about what a bedroom is. I gave you some advice on thinking about the overall functionality of the house and how it might be all well and good to have a ton of, bedrooms, but if you don't have the bathrooms to go with them, then you may not have much at all. Buyers may not respond well to, or at least respond with their checkbooks to those additional bedroom spaces. And if I didn't explain it thoroughly enough in that short video, the idea is to focus on the overall functionality of the house. How the combination of the bedrooms and bathrooms and overall square footage, these things work together to create functionality. So that's really sort of the gist of what I wanted you to understand. So like a 6,000 square foot house with 2 bedrooms is not very appealing sounding. And on the flip side of that, 1,000 square foot house with 6 bedrooms is not very appealing. So it's the overall functionality that I see more often matters to buyers more than any other thing, more often than not. All that said, one thing that I was thinking about that I did want to sort of go back over and make sure that I addressed clearly, because this is probably the precise question that I get asked most of the time when someone's asking me what is a bedroom. They want to know about the I'm going to say legal, but it's not really legal, but like the definition of a bedroom. And in most things, so in most of our stuff with our real estate businesses, and this is whether I'm working as an agent or an appraiser, we are dealing with the lending world. And so I think it's most useful to go towards what the lending world, and specifically what the FHA defines as a bedroom, because in most regards, the FHA has this document called, or that describes minimum property requirements, MPRs. It's in the HUD handbook. And you can Google this and find it online. But HUD, which is I guess the FHA, maybe it's synonymous, maybe it's a branch. I'm not sure. But HUD describes a bedroom as the minimum bedroom requirements are that it has a window for egress and that it has privacy. Period. Okay? You'll notice that I did not mention that it has a closet before that period. Now, I think the reason for that is that you can get back into an era of construction, which is still even in 2025, a very desirable house, because many of them are historic and they've got features that you just can't find anymore. But you can get back into an era of construction where market participants, which is buyers, did not expect for a room they were going to sleep in to have a closet. They put in a big, fancy, beautiful armoire in there to keep their clothes in. And so I think that the FHA's standard not requiring a closet is so that those houses are not unfairly penalized when we go do an appraisal. So a window for egress, that's a safety issue. A door for privacy, because a bedroom, you do private things in there, but not necessarily a closet. Now, the caveat to that is what your appraiser is looking for is what they know buyers' expectations are for that market. And a market is whatever group of houses a particular buyer, or at least theoretically your same buyer, as we'll be looking at your listing, whatever other houses that buyer is going to be looking at, that's the market. Okay? So imagine you're representing a buyer, and the buyer says, I want a new house, and I want it to have so many square feet, and a lot of times they'll say, I want it to have 3 bedrooms, right? That's the market that buyer's looking at. A buyer who says, I really love historic homes with Elizabethan architecture in this part of town, that buyer is not necessarily looking, they're not telling you they want 3 bedrooms, right? They're looking for something a little bit different. That buyer's expectations, they want a historic home, and I think it's a reasonable presumption to say that buyer understands what kind of rooms they're going to get in that house, and they understand that they might need to make their bedroom a room that has no closet. Okay, so your buyer defines the market, and the FHA, I think, understands that when they make these standards. Another standard, I don't want to get too far off into a rabbit hole about market and things like that, even though I really love all that stuff. Another part of what defines a bedroom is there's a minimum square footage, that is typically 72 square feet, or around about 72 square feet, 9 by 8. And again, this goes towards sort of the minimum amount of space that a person needs in order to throw a bed in there, a small bed, and just be in that room comfortably. So, those are sort of your things. Some other things that a bedroom can't be, I find this very useful, and I've sort of learned a lot of this as I've gone along in my appraiser journey. One of these I learned in sort of a really anxiety-inducing way in the first assignment that I ever got when I opened my company. So one of the things that a bedroom cannot be is a bedroom cannot be the only access to another room. So you'll see this sometimes. These old ranch-style houses are always my favorite example, because they're where I tend to see these things. In these old ranch-style houses, you'll have a walk-through room, okay? And that walk-through room can be a bedroom. It can be a pass-through, it can be a walk-through, and still be a bedroom. However, if there's another room beyond that, then they can't, and the walk-through room is the only access to the other room, they can't both be a bedroom. You can call the next room a bedroom and the walk-through room a sitting area, or you can call the walk-through room the bedroom and the next room can be a closet. But they can't both be bedrooms, because one of them is the only access to the other. So that's an important one to note. I actually see that every now and then. You'll see that. What else can a bedroom not be? I've been in a home where it had a loft upstairs. The only thing upstairs was this loft, and the agent was calling it a bedroom. Now, this loft, only one of its walls was a knee wall, which means a half wall comes up to about your waist, and that wall looked down into the living room. Okay, this room, it did have a cubby that could pass for a closet. It did have a window for egress, but it did not have a door, and it did not have a wall on one side. By my standards, it's not a bedroom. And on that report, I did that house on an FHA assignment. I called the HUD hotline and talked to them about it, and they confirmed that room was not a bedroom by their standards. So, and it was the privacy thing was the issue there. There was no door and there was no wall. Therefore, no privacy. What else could not be a bedroom? That same house had a room that was the only access to the garage. They were calling that room a bedroom. It had all the other standards, a closet, a window, everything a buyer would expect, privacy, but it was the only access to the garage. HUD said not a bedroom. That house was wild. It actually by the time that I ran all these weird rooms by the FHA, it ended up being a no bedroom house, 0 bedrooms in the house, because of all these weird additions. If you've ever been to my appraisal class, I sometimes talk about this, tell this story. So those are some things that a bedroom cannot be. As far as window size, if you ask your friendly neighborhood home inspector, I think a lot of them know the specific dimensions that window needs to be for egress. And that relates to codes. Inspectors are way more up on codes than appraisers are. We don't really go by codes. We go by feelings, which is kind of a joke, but it's also kind of true. When I look at a window, I'm an average size person. If I can't fit through that window, it's too small. Okay, so it's kind of common sense. If it's a window, like the tiny little windows that we put in bathrooms they're up a little bit high, they're small, that would probably not be sufficient for a bedroom's egress window, but it might be. Ask your home inspector that you love. So anyway, I wanted to just sort of follow up that last video with some more specifics on what bedrooms are, even though I still encourage you to focus more on overall functionality and what your buyers expect in a market. But as rule of thumbs, which we don't use in appraising, but for agents as a rule of thumb, if it's a more modern construction home, expect that room to need a window, a closet, and a door for privacy to qualify. So I hope that was helpful. If I can ever be of service to you, find me at appraiserpool.com, where we can do professional measurements, home appraisals, land appraisals, pre-listing appraisals, any kind of appraisal you want almost. If I can't do it, I'll help you find somebody who can. And also consultations for the easier questions that also might have some value input or require some research time on my part. You can schedule all of that there. As always, I deeply appreciate you watching the videos, and I will see you next time.